Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna start, anyone remember can start the conversation, but while you are carrying on in the inner circle, the outer circle are going to be commentators, like you were last Socratic discussion, excuse me. However, I've decided to give you just two roles, one of two roles. Katie, you will be a discussion commentator, Krista, content, Tyler, discussion, and Zach, content. So the difference is that the discussion skills commentator focuses on what discussion skills are being used inside the circle. And there are two little strips of paper on each of your desks. The ones with the bullet points, let's see over here. The bullet points that say agrees with, disagrees, incorporates with, invites, challenges, counters, synthesizes, paraphrases, summarizes, qualifies, justifies, all of these. When Trey poses a question, you who are discussion commentators will say, Trey poses question, Sammy responds, Anthony challenges, Gabby agrees with, Jaden disagrees but counters. So you're using these words to describe the skills that they're using. The other words, the other list, like last time, are active verbs to replace say. So asserts, claims, demands, thinks. Okay, so those who are commenting on content can use those statements, such as Anthony asserts that Lenny needed help. So you're commenting on the content that's being contributed. What is being said? You can paraphrase, you can add comments to the effect of a good point asserted by Anthony. But basically you're paraphrasing what content is being contributed to the discussion. And the discussion skills commentators are commenting and focusing on what discussion skills are being used. Okay? Any questions? All right. We will have 12 minutes for each conversation, and you may begin.
I thought that George was kind of had the American dream by actually trying to live it with Lenny by getting a job to buy his acres or getting the farm land.
I agree, but I'm gonna add on a little.
Right.
I think that they were both excited, but Lenny was too excited that when Curly walked into the room, and George just got done talking about their land that they're gonna do and have Lenny tend the rabbits, give him that straw, and so when he went in, Curly went in, and it was a bad situation because Lenny was still smiling, and it was all in a bad
Bad timing.
Yeah, bad timing. So when Curly saw Lenny smiling, he thought he was smiling at him. So Lenny was smiling and
Made Curly mad.
yeah, and Curly didn't know what he was smiling about because he wasn't saying anything, and so Curly went over to him and just started asking him, and Lenny wouldn't respond, so Curly punched him, and so Lenny fell back, and then he was out of his daydream, and then that happened, and Curly kept punching him until Lenny broke his hand.
Well, I think that the reason I think it meant so much to him is because they never stopped talking about it. They talked about it throughout the whole book. Like when they're talking about moving in 1 month and how they're so excited. So I think that's why it meant so much to me.
Yeah, I agree with that because they never lost that dream. They never lost the hope and belief.
Yeah. And that on the about the part where the swamp or Candy, when they told Candy, and Candy had it all figured out too. So that was kind of cool because Candy was just in it, like in that American Dream too. So he never came out. He was figuring out whatever they needed to do and all that stuff, so they could be like free and do whatever they want on that little lane. What do you think, Anthony?
I think that, well, I agree with all of you because Lenny would get all excited and hyped about it, and really they just didn't really give up on that journey.
What about you, Sammy?
Well, my kind of went like yours because he always like when he was smiling and then Curly walked in and started asking questions immediately.
And then another part where before they got to the farm is when Lenny had George tell him by the campfire, tell him it again, and afterwards Lenny was still in it, and they were hungry, so Lenny asked for ketchup with his beans, and yeah, so George kind of got all mad. So I thought that was kind of part of it because Lenny was still kind of in that trance still.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to catch up and he thought he was living the dream right there. And
I think that George got irritated with Lenny a lot, but I don't think he would ever have left him behind or not included him. So I think he cared a lot about him, but he just got irritated.
yeah, irritated really easily and
Yeah.
knows what's gonna happen because he does because Lenny does a lot of stupid stuff. So he probably has everything figured out. So if they do get in trouble, Lenny goes to well, they did have a plan picked out because they had George told Lenny to go into the brushes up in the mountain to where they kind of did a camp out.
In the brush.
Yeah.
I also thought that George was very vexed with Lenny, which is annoyed because Lenny always couldn't remember things that he needed to, and that made George mad and annoyed.
Because Lenny couldn't remember everything. I agree with that.
I also think George picked on him a lot because he felt bad for having him jump in the river, and he said he would never tease him again or anything. So I think he felt bad for.
I thought George.
Because he couldn't. Oh, go ahead.
I thought George also really cared about him because he would always stay by his side, even when Lenny thought that he could go and live on his own. He just stayed there for him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gabby, because he always said he was gonna go in the cave up in the mountains, and he never ended up doing it.
And
Because
he also knew his family.
Yeah.
because George was telling him that he was a fool and stuff and stay by me. You couldn't live a day without me. Kind of what he was trying to get at in the up on the mountain where he said he'd go to the cave.
Yeah.
But
Well, I thought about the Mercy killing, about how in some situations it can be good, in some situations it can be bad. Like when George killed Lenny and he shot him in the back of the head because he knew he was going to suffer. So
I agree because I said that he wanted, George always got in trouble and it put suffering on him to keep running.
Lenny always had trouble. I said George.
Oh, oops, Lenny. And so Lenny would probably just be in a better place in heaven.
And the good thing was that he got, you told him the story about the living what they call it, living on the
the
fats of the
American dream.
land.
Yeah.
Living on the fats of the land. So he was all happy, and so he thought that was a good time to shoot him.
And it's kind of just like the
Yeah.
mercy killings for the pups, where he drowned them because he couldn't afford to feed them, and they didn't have room for them, so he killed them while they're still pups. And
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm gonna add on a little bit. I think he did the right thing, but those pups I actually thought sacrificed their lives for the other pups,
Yeah.
kinda, so that the other pups could have a better life and grow stronger, so they wouldn't starve, and so that the mom would always have milk for them instead of having not enough.
Also, when Candy had, like, when they shot his dog, I think he said he wishes he would have done it himself instead of having someone else do it. So I think that kind of hurt him a lot. He wishes that he would have done it himself instead.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So you're trying to say that you'd rather shoot something if it was your best friend, so they would remember you when they died,
Well,
kind of.
yeah, kind of, I guess. I just think that he shouldn't. Maybe some people would rather have someone else do it themselves, but I think Candy wanted to do it himself instead of.
And
have his last moments with his dog.
and my idea builds upon your idea, Jaden, and I'm kind of thinking like when he rolled over on his back and looked at his side and looked at the wall. I think that he was just thinking about him shooting the dog. That's what I was kind of thinking when he rolled over. Like after he said, "I wish I would have shot my dog."
Yeah. I agree with you because he wished he would have shot his dog instead of somebody else having to shoot it.
So I was thinking that maybe he was thinking that while he was laying on his side that he should have shot him.
Yeah.
What do you think, Anthony?
Well, I think when Slim drowned the puppies, I think that was kind of bad because he could have gave them to someone else, and when Candy Carlson killed Candy's dog, I think that was good because he was kind of getting old and starting to suffer.
Well, I disagree. I disagree with that because if he would have kept the puppies would have had to stay on mom's milk. You can't give them any other milk they have to stay on that milk for 2 weeks and then you'd start doing the powder and stuff. But if you'd have taken them off right then and gave them to someone, they wouldn't have a chance because that mom what
They
they
wouldn't
say
have
that
to
the dog's name was? Do you guys know?
I don't remember.
But they said the dog
Wouldn't survive.
the puppies wouldn't survive because there wouldn't have been enough milk.
And about the friendship affect the characters in the story. Well, George and Lenny, they always stayed together, and I don't think they would ever leave each other. Like, he always had a plan of if they ever got in trouble to go hide in the brush, and then he'd come get him. So he must have been thinking ahead. He must have known that something bad would have happened.
Yeah.
And they would stay together.
I kind of agree because he always told Lenny the truth about when he would be back and come and get him. Like when he left Lenny at Crook's stable or area room, he would tell him he would be back.
All right, guys, good discussion. What outside circle? What are some comments that you can make that evaluative comments for the inside circle? Katie?
That everybody kind of agreed on each other and came together to make their claims into a bigger one group claim.
Collective understanding? Yeah, good. Anything else? Could you hear everyone? Or did you have a hard time hearing? We had a few that were quiet. So the next circle, the next round, speak up a little bit more maybe. Did everyone get to speak? Were there any who dominated or anything?
Trey and Jaden kind of like took over and kind of just spoke a lot, and Anthony didn't really talk.
Okay, but what did Trey and Jaden, specifically Trey, do about that?
They
Brought them in, right. So everyone on the outside, remember that everyone needs to have that opportunity. So if there is someone who's withdrawing, invite them in, but if you are one that's withdrawing, remember, step up and use your skills. Challenge yourself here. Okay, great. Switch roles. Jen, the inside.
I know it.
Great. Okay. All right, and then the outside circle.
Why not?
The outside circle. Trey, you're a discussion commentator. Jaden, content. Anthony, discussion, content. Sammy, discussion. And that's it. Okay, so
What's the difference again?
the discussion, thank you for asking and clarifying. The discussion commentators use the bulleted list on there and you focus on the skills that are being used. Are they challenging? Are they posing questions? Are they incorporating others? Are they agreeing, disagreeing, challenging? Okay. What did I say? Let's see. Content, discussion, content. Oh, content, discussion, content.
At least you're not in trauma. I had to talk for 20
what
minutes
did I
without
just say?
stopping.
Zach, you better talk. I will embarrass you.
I will
No.
invite you to this conversation.
What did you just
I
say?
will.
Zach, what are your thoughts on
Discussion.
this?
No.
Discussion, content, discussion, and content.
Zach, what do you think about this?
Zach.
What's your opinion on life,
Focus on
Zach?
discussion. Okay,
Does that mean,
all right.
does that mean I'm content?
I'd like you to be discussion.
Are you gonna get a haircut soon? Should I shave your head?
You should grow it
Then your content. If you're paraphrasing what they're contributing for content, what they're saying, then your content.
So I can braid it.
No.
Okay,
You put his hair now.
No.
all right. Ready in the middle? And then, and everyone on the outside. Yep, class website, lesson plan, and yep. Put your name and be active, engaged listeners on the outside, commenting on your discussion or the content. All right? You guys all ready?
I'm not nervous. I'm good.
All right. Here. Oh, I'll start with.
Zach, you're starting the conversation.
Me?
I said, Zach, you're starting.
Zach, you're starting.
No.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I just got here. You guys go first.
Go ahead.
Okay. The first question is how did George and Lenny's American dream affect their lives? I put down it made their lives harder. Like, you really have to work like mad to get towards your dream. Because everybody has a dream, you have to work at it to make it come true.
I agree with Katie because, like, they worked really hard in order to achieve that goal for the American dream and to make their life better.
In the story, Crooks decided like their American dream was all in their heads and that they couldn't get it done. But then Candy came along before Crooks even said that and said that I want to join in on your American dream. So they could, all three of them could work together and get towards their American dreams. Zach, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree with you on that. I don't know.
I put down that it affected their lives because Lenny always wanted to tend the rabbits, and it also made their relationship stronger. That's what I put.
And George and Lenny really wanted their own land. Like they were trying to save money to get their land.
I agree with Tyler because they were always kind of like saying, okay, we're going to save this much for this land.
Okay. The second question is like how George treated Lenny. I put he was very like hard on Lenny. It made it so Lenny felt safe when he was ever around George. But Lenny was always afraid that if he said anything, he was going to get yelled at by George.
Or wouldn't be able to tend the rabbits.
Yeah.
I think that like George was pretty much like babysitting Lenny, but like George always complained about. He didn't really complain, but he got annoyed of Lenny because George always has to like take care of him and stay with him.
And George always said that he could do so much more without Lenny being there.
Lenny doesn't really understand what George is saying.
Or what goes on half the time.
Yeah. Go Jackie.
I put down he treated Lenny like a brother, and also that he was like a babysitter to him.
And George tells Lenny to be quiet a lot because Lenny doesn't like know what's going on. So he tells him to keep quiet so they don't get in trouble.
So is that a good thing or bad thing?
I think it's a good thing because like sometimes you'll say to your friends like be quiet, don't say this to like my parents or something.
Analyze the different instance and difference of mercy killing in the story. It's just like when Slim drowned the puppies.
And Candy and Slim both said that if they ever got to a point where they couldn't like eat, talk, or like walk on their own, that they wanted someone to put them out of their misery for them.
Just like the dog. Like,
But you have to put down a dog.
What?
Oh, that's Candy's dog.
yeah. Because who said it? Like, if I ever got that way, I want.
Wasn't it Slim?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think, Jackie?
I don't know.
What do you think, Lauren?
I think in a way it was right for Slim to drown them, but also he could have like just have them stay with the mom or just set them free in the wild, I guess.
Were they given a chance?
No.
Because they were too small than the other ones.
How does all of that relate to her life?
It's kind of like abortion. People, like, I understand that, like, some people, like, have to do it because of, like, what they've been through and they can't, like, support it. But I think everybody deserves a chance at life.
What about the ultimate person killing the epic in the love? Not really that much.
What?
What was the ultimate mercy killing?
What happened at the end?
When George
Oh,
killed Lenny.
Is that right? Wrong?
it goes both ways. It was good on some levels and it was bad on some levels. It was bad because George lost his best friend. It was good because Lenny didn't know like half the stuff he could do. And plus he would be following George around all the time. Krista, your thoughts?
Well, but I agree with Katie. Like, it was good in some parts, bad. Like, Lenny wasn't understanding like what he had. Well, he did understand what he had done to Curly's wife, but he didn't mean to because he was too frightened. And then he knew he was gonna get in trouble, so he went to the bush. And then, I guess George just wanted to do it himself, so that
He wouldn't feel so bad about it.
and Curly wouldn't have done it.
What do you think, Zach?
Well, I thought it was kind of right at some point because he didn't want Lenny to suffer. And the other point, I thought it was terrible because he should have been able to like fight on his own somewhat.
How did friendship affect the characters in the story? I said that everybody was like basically friends except for Curly and his wife and the boss. No one liked them because they were rude and like selfish and all they cared about was the money. And Curly's wife, like the guys warned them. The guys warned George and Lenny about not talking to Curly's wife because she talks to a lot of guys. But in order to make it in life, I think you need friends to get you to where you are and where you want to go.
I think that friendship made a huge impact in the story because if there wasn't a friendship, like they wouldn't have stayed on the ranch or they wouldn't have gotten as far as they did.
Why is that? Why would they not have gotten as far without
Because,
the friendship?
well, I think that you have to have like someone with you to kind of like encourage what you're doing so you can do it together. Like if you did it on your own, you probably wouldn't have gotten it as far.
If it wasn't for George getting Lenny out of the town weed, Lenny probably would have been locked up in jail. Tyler, what are your thoughts on this?
Well,
You can speak your thoughts.
well, the first time they went to the ranch, they didn't know any of them, but when George and Lenny get used to the ranch, then everybody started being nice to them.
And that's part of friendship, right?
They made new friends.
All right, good job, guys. Both of you, both rounds, good job. What I want you to do now, turn to your rubric, your scoring rubric that you've set your goals on, and underline the things that you feel you did. You circled the ones that you thought you wanted to do. Now underline the ones that you think you did. Self-evaluate. How did you do it?
Self-evaluate yourself.
All right. Good job.
If you did those or not.
Yeah,
Underline what you think you